ለመማር ወደ ትምህርት ተቋም መሄድ ግድ አይደለም።
ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
ራሳችሁን ከኮሮና ቫይረስ ወረርሽኝ እየጠበቃችሁ በቤታችሁ ወይም በተመቻችሁ ቦታ
በኢንተርኔት አማካኝነት በኦንላይን ትምህርታችሁን መከታተል ይቻላል።
ካናዳ ከሚገኘው ኢንተርናሽናል ኤር ትራንስፖርት አሶሲዬሽን አያታና
ከእንግሊዙ ኢንስቲትዩት ኦፍ ኮመርሻል ማኔጅመንት ICM ጋር በመተባበር የሚሰጡ ትምህርቶችን ተከታትላችሁ በ6 ወር ጊዜ በዓለም አቀፍ ደረጃ ተቀባይነት ያለውን የስልጠና ማስረጃ ባለቤት መሆን ይቻላል።
ከኢትዮጵያ ሲቪል አቪዬሽን ባለስልጣን ሙሉ ዕውቅና ባገኘንባቸው የፍላይት ኦፕሬሽን እና የሆስተስ ስልጠናም በምዝገባ ላይ ነን።
ጥያቄና መልስ፣ የክፍል ስራዎች ብሎም ፈተና መፈተን ክፍል ውስጥ እንዳላችሁ አይነት
ልምድ ባላቸው መምህራን እየተማራችሁ
በኦንላይን ባላችሁበት ቦታ።
አድራሻ ከ22 ማዞሪያ ወደ ሾላ ገበያ በሚወስደው መንገድ 150 ሜትር ገባ ብሎ ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ
የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ
ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።
Okay, good evening. Let's have a brief discussion today, and then we'll move on there next week. So today I would like us to look at creating value. Now remember how we started our journey. We started with looking at what is corporate strategy, what is the scope of corporate strategy, what are the different types of strategies, right? And then now we want to see how do you, then we look at competitive advantage, very important. I think we did last class. So now when you mix all this together, remember our model for competitive advantage. It's a model we came up with there. Resources, capabilities, mix them, and they create competitive advantage. And that competitive advantage creates value, right? Now we are looking at the value, how you generate that value. And then that value creates growth. So in our next session, I will be talking about creating growth, or coming up with that growth. So today we are looking at how do you, how the strategies, we just use a few strategies. How do they create value? For example, if it's diversification, we talked about growth strategies. How does the growth strategies bring value? And maybe what are the challenges that you may face? Because it's not always that when you use diversification, you'll get growth. It may fail. It's not a guarantee that if you use strategic alliances, you'll get growth. It may not if you don't do things in the right way. So now that is our position today. Look at, creating value using the strategies, basically now corporate strategy. And then now we manage this value and use this value to generate growth. Because at the end of the day, that is what most firms, if not all firms, Argos had disappeared, is coming back here. That's what firms are after. Because when you talk about growth, we are talking growth in market share, growth in customer, growth in profits, growth in branches, growth in capital, all this. Now this comes from the value that you get from of course, implementing the right strategies and getting value out of that, out of the strategy. Just the other day, we looked at formulating corporate strategy. And then after formulating, you implement. Once you implement the strategy, then, you start monitoring, evaluation to make sure that the right thing is being done. Therefore, through that, now you get the value. So let's see briefly about the value now. So basically, we need to understand how does diversification, that's what I was explaining, how does diversification, which is growth strategy, how does it bring value? And what business with the firms that brings value? And of course, how should these businesses be managed to create more value for standing units? That means, for example, if we talk about a strategic alliance between two firms, if they are different, we call them freestanding units. But when you make the alliance and combine two firms or more firms, then that becomes one. the unit that now is going to bring the value through combination. So maybe we can start just briefly by starting with general with diversification. Because remember, diversification is one of our biggest strategies, corporate strategy. Now, we talked about diversification. We looked at mergers, acquisitions. We looked at strategic alliances, joint ventures, all this. Now, the question is, how do they bring the value? Now, the value comes from synergy, right? And synergy is the benefit that you get when you mix more than one item together. If you have one business, it will be a standalone. But if you bring in two businesses, you combine them, then we expect those two firms going to generate synergy. So synergy is a comprehensive benefit, that you get by combining resources of more than one firm. Or basically even resources, even people, when two people come together, they generate a lot of synergy as compared to when person is individual. Even in your studies, when you're just studying alone and applying alone, yes, you do better. But if you join like 2 or 3 people, then you tend to unlock the potential of each other. And the result is that through synergy, you are more, you are to perform better than standing alone. Of course, holding other factors constant. And that is what now we call, the synergy. So synergy comes from the comprehensive benefits when you combine resources, activities of many firms. So basically, the value creation under diversification and many other strategies is based on synergy. That through that combination, joint venture, if you get two firms, they form a venture, they start a different farm, different from the previous. Then at the end of the day, this joint venture will be, at the end of the day, will be answerable to the corporate firms. And through that, now firms can be able to create more synergy in their undertakings. So this synergy can be different aspects depending on where it is being generated for. For example, we talked about related diversification, for example, or related business. Now the synergy from related business and the synergy from unrelated business is different. But what is important is that it is all synergy. It goes into improving the value of the farm, at the end of the day. Because whether you get synergy from vertical integration or diversification, horizontal or vertical, concentric, conglomerate, wherever it is, at the end of the day, that will be synergy that will be realized from that undertaking. And the most important thing when you're talking about, the switch off my phone, when you're talking about related business, especially when you're talking about diversification, is that there's sharing of resources if the business is related, right? Both the intangible and the tangible resources. I think we define what are resources and what are assets when we talked about the works of Barney and how you put them to bring the competitive advantage. So now that means if businesses are related, they share a lot. They share production processes, they share marketing processes because they are related. For example, if you talk about soft drink, this case may be Coca-Cola, it has a portfolio of related products. Therefore, it is easy for it to get synergy because it shares manufacturing facilities. The same facility that manufactures Coke, manufactures Sprite, manufactures Fanta, and so forth. They don't need another plant per se. Maybe a few adjustments. If they are making Coke, then they want to bottle Fanta, maybe a few adjustments, but the plant is the plant. Things like patents. It's easy to patent together when the businesses are related because the formula for coke is almost the same, apart from the finishing. Then you also talk about manufacturing and production facilities. That's what I was talking about. We talk about distribution channels or distribution facilities. And that's why a company like Coca-Cola is able to distribute. You find a big lorry with all types of products being distributed there. The refillable and the non-refillable, right? And then also through that, it can be able, a firm can be able to get favorable reputation. For example, Coca-Cola has been has the reputation of, it's always there. It's always in stock. Because if you go, you find there is no Coke, you can take Fanta. Fanta itself has so many other flavors. If you don't find this, you can take that. So that now makes the firm more stable and, okay, in the minds of the customers, not necessarily scientific. Because the customers are aware, if I go to a shop, I'll get a bottle of Coke or a can of Coke. And if I don't get in the first shop, I'll get it in the second shop. And this comes when products are like, that's why you find even in their coolants, their refrigerators, they put all their products there. That's reputation. If you compare with other competitors, maybe you may not get this right away. That's why Coca has been able to, dominate global markets for some time. But if the businesses are not related, it does not mean there is no synergy. Still, there is synergy. You can get value through the corporate office. The business are not related, yes, but the management is the same. The CEO, for example, may be the same. And then, of course, because most of the activities are not related in unrelated businesses, then you leverage on support activities. Maybe some like human resource management. Now, this is the people. You can benefit a lot. One farm, the other farm use the same human resources. You can also use the same farm infrastructure. It can be shared by two businesses. You can use technology, to serve those different businesses. Although manufacturing is not the same as we've seen from the previous one, but procurement may be the same, procurement and logistics. Even if the raw materials are not the same, but the procurement system of one farm can be used by the other farm. And through that, the farm gains more competitive advantage from the sister farm. That is now the case whereby business one and business two may be unrelated. But of course, if they are related, we've just seen that there's a lot of sharing, which brings now the value to the farm. Now, if you compare farms that are standalone in different sectors, in different business, and farms that are in agreements, but in different businesses, then the farms that are in agreement are more likely, not more likely, but they get more value from the operations. As I've explained, just something small like procurement and logistics. That means when the procurement system, if the procurement system cannot take place at the same time, then you find the procurement system is not idle once it has supplied one farm. The same procurement system is used, to supply the other farm. And therefore, there's a lot of cost savings and time savings. Suppose you are in construction. I think one of your group, one of your class members I was talking to in the other semester told me he's in construction business. He's doing some commercial buildings. It is also doing some residential buildings, right? But he also has a few dairy cows he's taking care of. So what happens when you supply sand, you supply ballast, you supply cement to the construction site, and the trucks are idle, they go carry food for the cows, right? And many other things that they also maybe take the milk to the dairy after you make your cow. This is what we are talking about. If they are related, if you are doing construction in two different estates, then that is related. So you'll be carrying the same materials, but now you'll be enjoying I'll just explain the issue about procurement and logistics. And that means it becomes easier for you, it becomes cheaper for you, it becomes, the hassle is free, and so forth. If they are unrelated, as I've explained, you carry sand, ballast, and everything you take to the construction site. Instead of the lorries staying idle the whole day, you go carry food for the cows and that kind of business. If there's a sick cow, put it in the truck, take it to hospital. It happens. If the doctor cannot come on site, that is what now we are explaining here. That even though the business may be different, there is still a lot of synergy that is derived. The same project manager or the manager who does the construction is the same manager who does the dairy. So you don't need another manager for that case. And through that, a lot of synergy is created, and this synergy creates value. At the end of the day, this will be reflected in the balance sheet because the costs will be minimized, be taken care of because of economies of scale and other benefits in the supply chain. So just explaining just of that. So what I was saying is that when you are in related business, then you leverage on the core competencies, which are shared between businesses that are related, as I've explained. If you are doing construction in different aspects, in different parts of the country, then you share that. My examples here are a little bit, global, because I may not necessarily understand, the grounds in Addis, the farms that are involved in all this. Then you may also not very much understand what is happening in Kenya here, what the farms are doing. Many farms you may not get it. That's why you find my examples are a little bit global. That's why I'm talking about Coca-Cola. I'll talk about 3M and so forth. But the idea is to grasp and understand, how value is created from businesses, how you create synergy by, combining related or unrelated business. So you leverage on the core competencies because the core competencies are shared within the farm. You share on the activities, very, very important. When you share on the activities, as I've said, you share logistics, you share transport, you share stores like supermarkets, what they do. You also have a pool negotiation power when you're going to procure and enter into agreements and all this. It is easier because you have the bargaining power. In the event that, you are even moving out of this business and going to sign other contracts with other businesses, then it means that you'll have a big bargaining power. For example, if Coca-Cola was to move out with all this synergy, that is derived from the farm itself, was to move out and, go and, sign a contract with another company, let's say a brewing company, then it will have a lot of bargaining power, that goes to in the bargaining table of the other firm. And then in addition to that, you find that as they negotiate, the resulting entity will have a more pooled bargaining power. Suppose Coca-Cola joins with Guinness International, right? That means they will be using bottles. The bottles may be different in shape and in color and everything, but they may be manufactured by one manufacturer. So if they go to face the manufacturer of the bottles, they will have a big negotiating power because they are buying in large numbers. And through that, they can be able to have a lot of savings in terms of the value that they get. The same to vertical integration. We did vertical integration the other day, moving across the supply chain. The more you integrate, the more work becomes easy for you. For example, now if Coca-Cola integrates with a glass making farm, it means, as we said previously, the glass making farm becomes part of Coca-Cola. And therefore, If it is selling bottle to the competitors of Coca-Cola, they are selling at market value, right? But if they are selling to their department, which is now the Coca-Cola, they can sell at cost value, right? What does that mean? That means then Coca-Cola will have a bigger value, derived from the bottling plant. The same case I was explaining to tobacco business, the tobacco business. Samuel puts, Samuel, now your meeting is almost coming to an end. Eh?
Yeah.
Samuel?
Yes, yes.
So you will connect us again, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we'll continue again.
Just connect and then we continue, right?
Yeah,
In
okay.
case it goes off.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was explaining that is vertical integration, and that value is derived, by doing that kind of connection. And that is the value we are looking for. That is the value each and every firm is looking for. Because if it gets this, now that's competitive advantage. That's value is what creates growth in business and so forth. Maybe corporate restructuring, that's a continuation of that, please. If you're talking about corporate restructuring and parenting, we also saw that, the firm adds value within itself. We define what is corporate restructuring and corporate parenting. Now, when you restructure, remember restructuring came as a part of retrenchment strategy, the same as turnaround management, liquidation, divestment, and so forth. When it comes to restructuring, then the value will get, we'll see the portfolio. When you are restructuring the portfolio down here, how the portfolio looks like. If you do restructuring, you make it smaller, what are the adjacent benefits and synergies? Units that are making losses or units that are not giving you a lot of value, can be shed off, especially if they are not byproducts of the process. Now, in manufacturing, if you have a byproducts of in the process of manufacturing or refining, even if that byproduct is making losses, you may not be able to kick it out of the portfolio because it is a byproduct. If you go and pasteurize milk, you get butter, you get ghee, you get fresh milk, what is called fresh milk. You may even get milk powder out of it, whatever it is. If what you call fresh milk, this is a skimmed milk, is a waste product of pasteurization. Even if it is not giving you money, but you can't remove it away from the portfolio. If it is butter or ghee, maybe the locality where you're having the factory, people don't spend much on butter, or they don't like butter, or they don't want ghee, or they don't want yogurt, or they don't want sour milk, but those are products of the process. But in case those are independent products, then when you're doing restructuring, you can be able to, to reduce that portfolio. But if it's a byproduct, you may not. That's why you find you go to companies and you find they are selling offers. So if the ghee or the butter does not move very fast, maybe it's fresh milk that moves very fast. So you get a fresh milk, 1 packet, small packet of ghee, put on top, and move to the consumers. And through that, even though that ghee is not very much valuable to, but through corporate parenting, you are making it as an asset that you use to sell your existing products. And then, of course, when it comes to portfolio management, especially, that is what I was explaining, how you deal with that portfolio to be able to make sure that you add more value. So related diversification, a lot of economies of scale, that's what we drive on. There's a lot of cost saving and leveraging because of the core competencies. Because the core competencies are shared, activities are shared. That means the costs are managed. Maybe you can also leverage the use of key resources. I was explaining favorable reputation. We saw the case of Coca-Cola. Expert staff, especially if you have a very good management department, good management skills, Efficient purchasing operations, I think I explained this because this is the shared also between the players. And then lastly, down there, we have existing manufacturing facilities that brings value to the farm because of related diversification. And then these are core competencies. You know, when you are leveraging on the core competencies, these core competencies are the one that binds the business together. If it's procurement, it brings procurement together and it brings the business together. And that is what now fuels new business growth because you are making a lot of savings on logistics. You can even invest more. You can even divest more. The case I was explaining, if you're doing construction, you are doing dairy farming, and you have a good transport and logistics system in place, and you find that your logistics system is not properly utilized, the capacity is not 100%. Maybe in the morning they supply building materials, in the day they carry fodder for the cows, and in the evening they take back, they take milk to the factory, but they still idle time. So you can leverage and look again for another activity, you know, that the trucks can be able to engage in at their idle time. Because any idle time for a facility, for an asset, is a loss. Maybe now you can start a local transport business for other people in the industry now, right? And so forth. So criteria for core competency, that's a continuation, you know, the core competencies must enhance competitive advantage by creating superior customer value. So it's the case of Coca-Cola now, you know, products are on the right time, they are in the shop, they are, one of the strategies for Coca-Cola is to make sure that products are available. That's why we say they have a good distribution network. You go to the salon, you go to the shop, you go to the barber shop, you go to the bar, you go to the butchery, even on the streets on standalone, you'll find a fridge for Coca-Cola. And that's how it was able to kick out Schweppes and other competitors out of it, because they have created that time utility, you know, time utility, place utility. And that time utility and that place utility is what customers are looking for. Customers are very busy. They don't have time moving everywhere looking for so and so. Anywhere they are going, they are walking on the streets, they are doing their marathon, you always get a Coke somewhere you can pick. That's what we are calling now. Creating competitive advantage by creating superior customer value. And then developing strength relative to, yes, they develop relative to competitors, and that's why they have been on top of the game. And then build on skills and innovation, appeal to the customers exactly. And that continues. Superior customer value is one of the key competencies that, you know, can add that, can bring that competitive advantage and lead to that synergy. So basically what we are saying is that even if the products are not similar, you can still create time utility, you can still create position utility using a good logistics system. Now again, products or services or procurement systems that are not easily imitated. Remember we said assets are rare, they are valuable, they are not easily imitatable, right? Like specialized skills. The moment they are imitated, then the core competency disappears. That's why we always request that firms should be innovative. They have a continuous research and design department that continues, you know, researching and bringing more new products and assets, products and services and assets into the market. By the time the competitors get hold of your product, maybe they want to imitate it, you've already moved out of that. So they still be imitating an inferior product and they won't be able to catch up. For example, in the case of Microsoft, has been crafted as one with the biggest research and design, uh, you know, uh, laboratory. And of course, you can see how they have leveraged themselves and how they are able to be a global leader. Because they normally say that their competitors are 20 years back. Their slogan, I don't know whether that's true. Let's say it's 10 years. So what Microsoft is doing today, most competitors will be doing it in 15 years. That's what they tell us. There may be truth in it, but they are facts. Some of it might be just for market techniques. But that's true because of their enhanced research and design to make sure that these core competencies are not easily imitated or replicated. Because the moment they are replicated and imitated, now the core competence moves away. The same to Google. Google has so many products and services attached to it. They were the first firm to say that people should work from home because of the COVID. And they have said that they have no problem. All their staff can work from home up to 2025. They are sorted because of the kind of innovation that they have put in place that can be able to empower workers and their staff to work from home, which might not be exactly the same for each and every competitor that they have in the industry. And that's how they have been able to continue, being ahead in the market and ahead of the business. Remember, previously Yahoo was a leader 20, 30 years ago, but now Google has overtaken. Right. The same case with WhatsApp and Facebook. Facebook came in very fast, almost colonized the whole world in terms of messaging and social media. But what is happening to WhatsApp now? Right? WhatsApp is coming up, and I think the negotiation I've had, I'm not sure about it, but one wants to buy the other. But as we are moving now, WhatsApp is going to kill Facebook completely because it's fast messaging, no much login and so forth, uses little data, bundles. I think you've seen this. With little bundles, you can use WhatsApp as compared to, you can easily pass data, which is cheaper than, if today you are to open in a WhatsApp video and run it for some time, you'll find bundles are disappearing. It needs a lot of bundles to run. But the same video, you want to move it through WhatsApp by just click of the button and forward and share. It's easy. That forwarding and sharing may not be easy for Facebook, and this is what we are talking about. That once firms identify the core competencies that are derived from the synergy, then they must make sure that they exploit them and protect them from imitation. Now, sharing activity, we talked about this. When you share activities, it becomes easy. It becomes the cost of doing business. Of course, the key idea is the fixed cost. It's a fixed cost. When you share activities, you are sharing the fixed costs, and you know how fixed costs behave in the cost curve. So if you are sharing activities, you are sharing the fixed costs, holding other factors. That means if you are a standalone firm and you are paying rent, for example, maybe $100, and you also got a new manufacturing facility, you also bought $100, that's $200. That's fixed plus labor. Maybe you're also paying $100. The other firm on the other side is also doing the same. It's also spending $100, or even more. Maybe one firm is spending $300 for those fixed costs. The other firm is using $400 for the same fixed cost. That's $700. If those firms come together and share the activities, share one manufacturing unit, they share one procurement unit, They share one research and design. They share the staff. They share one manufacturing plant. Then what happens? The cost reduces by almost 50%. The farm that was paying $300 per month will pay $150 or even $50 per month. The other farm will pay maybe $50 or even less. Now, those savings from the sharing of activities is what we are talking about here. That sharing of tangible and intangible assets, creates value to the business. Same to sales force, that's a marketing force. That's what you find when firms merge. When firms have going to alliances, they reduce their cost through HR, few people will be needed. They reduce their cost in terms of maybe procurement. And that is basically why firms go to that. So before they go to that, they have already done an investigation. Remember the process of strategic alliance we looked at and the partnering. You go to the partner, check into the partner, make sure that the partner has the qualities that you are looking for. Then you sign the contract. So all this provides cost savings and revenue enhancement, which is very, very important in this. So of course, this is what I was talking about, cost saving, very big synergy. That's why when you are going into alliances, you need a finance expert. In our discussion here, we've seen us talking about finance experts. Leverage buyout, the role of banks, in mergers and acquisition because of the cost savings that come in. Because you need to eliminate duplication of jobs. As we said, you don't need 2 managers, you only need 1 manager. You don't need 5 marketing officers for one farm and 5 marketing officers for the other farm. 1 marketing team is enough. Duplication of facilities, you don't need 2 manufacturing plants, you only need 1. And then eliminating related expenses, that's what I've been explaining here. Once you go into this, then you are going to benefit. And this is what brings the synergy and the value that we're talking about here. Enhancing revenue, yes, of course. Once you share activities, you share a portfolio, you share staff, then you share combined distribution channels, Especially previously, you are not using your own distribution channels. And now you are using your own distribution channels. It is easy because it will be cheaper. Remember, the firm that is doing your logistics is in business and it makes profits by servicing you. But if you use shared distribution channels, most likely if the channels are owned by the firm, then you are leveraging on that. And you're increasing the revenue because those particular distribution channels are part of you. The profit that they were supposed to be making to serve you will be plowed back. This will be shown in your balance sheet. Sometimes it may have a negative effect, but we are looking at the positive effect. When we are looking for the partner, that's why we call experts to come and do what we call partner evaluation and analysis to avoid challenges of sharking and cheating and misrepresentation. Now, full negotiating power, very, very important. I explained this. You can see business 1 has a small bargaining power, the small circle inside. Business 2 has small bargaining power, the small circle inside. But when they combine, the bargaining power becomes big. That's how you create value. They have a stronger bargaining power relative to suppliers, relative to customers, relative to competitors. And this now you need to refer to the 5 forces model. The bargaining power of the suppliers, how it affects business. Right? Shameless.
Yes, please.
How are you?
I'm good. Sorry for late joining. A little bit I was busy. I'm so sorry.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Don't worry. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I was saying when you look at the bargaining power of the suppliers, because the suppliers are more and they have come together. So their bargaining power is very high. That means they can dictate the prices, they can dictate the quality, and therefore their value increases. This is in comparison to if the suppliers are not together, and therefore it means that every supplier for himself in a perfect competition. Business is tough. The margins of the bargaining powers are low. But where suppliers have come, they have negotiated power, especially if they are supplying key raw materials in a manufacturing process. They become more powerful. They can make a price, they can decide the quality, they can decide everything. See what is happening with OPEC, the oil exporting countries. They are very powerful. That's why you have to pay a very high dollar for the fuel, right? The same to customers. You know, you are more powerful, and therefore you can be able to, you know, at least muzzle the customers a little bit as you do business. And very, very important, the competitors. When two firms or three firms come together, that resulting competitive advantage can mark or mark time competitors in the industry. And that means that they can be more, you know, they can be more stable. They have a higher competitive advantage than the other competitors. But they should not be abused, because if you abuse this, it may be counter. If you abuse this and also other players in the industry also come together, then it can be counterproductive for you. Therefore, that means you don't misuse this. Instead, you use it for your benefit as you make sure that you are getting the value that is being derived from those relationships. Integration, and we talked about this. It goes with, you know, when the businesses are different, the dependence is small. You can see the small circle in the middle. That is the value of each firm alone, the dependency. You know, but if you combine firms in the value chain, the dependency increases. Right? On the opposite of that, for example, if you look at monozony is a single supplier in the industry. If it's a single supplier, then when the firm is one, what you call a monozony, then the dependence will be very high. But if there are very many firms in the supplier, in a perfect market supply system, then the firms will have a small value created from that. In a perfect market, consumers have a lot of choice. Therefore, because of that, firms will fight, you know, for other items like pricing maybe, and marketing, because if the products are homogeneous, then the product does not become necessarily a tool for competitiveness. So you have to look for other items within the product portfolio to be able to create competitiveness. That's why now they go for marketing, branding, pricing, and sometimes the pricing is tricky because it can bring price wars. But once you combine together, you know, you secure supply of raw materials. You've seen firms like mining companies, when they go on site, they trademark everything. They put barriers to entry. Again, this needs to take you to the 5 forces model. You know, they secure the whole. Mining companies could be cement manufacturing firms. When they go, they trademark the whole system, or they buy the whole system, and then other firms cannot easily get into the system. The same to secure and distribution channels. You know, you protect your assets and services within, and then also access to new opportunities and technologies. When you are integrate together, it becomes easy. And then there's also simplified procurement and administrative procedures, because the firms that are doing the procurement are your firms. So there may be no big due diligence what happens in procurement, whereby you get suppliers, you qualify them, you vet them, you check their financial capability, you look at their transportation network. You will not go to this because the firm that is doing that is part of it. And we believe that those firms will be doing based on, they'll be doing good business based on trust. Of course, these agreements are more based on trust and a mutual agreement and benefit between those people. But there are also risks of integration. You know, costs and expenses, if not properly managed, can go high. Overhead expenditures can be high. You may lose flexibility. If you're an independent firm, which is standalone, you can be making decisions very fast. But the moment you combine, there may be challenges, you know, in procurement and decision making and so forth. If the partners, the partners in the vertical integration or any other arrangement for that matter, have unbalanced capabilities, that can create a challenge. If the partners are not equal per se, expect the equality or equity. If one partner is more powerful than the other, then that partner can easily, you know, force decisions, and that can be tantamount to, you know, breaking that arrangement, and therefore the risks. Those risks may break the arrangement, and the economies of scale, the benefits, and the synergy may not be realized. If there are differences in administration and management, again, becomes a challenge. So this was explaining you can secure raw materials and so forth, access business opportunities and so forth. You know, that was explanation there. That's more about vertical integration. But what do you consider? You know, you have to make sure that the quality is acceptable. Don't just sign agreements for the purpose of it. The other firm you are joining with must have the quality you are looking for. If the quality is not there, then there will be no resultant economies of scale, there will be no resultant value creation. Then also the other activities within supply chain, the level of the stability, you know, how stable is the demand. You may join today, but what you are joining for, the demand is irrational, the demand is seasonal. You serve that demand, the moment that demand is over, then you're out of business. So you have to make sure that there is proper business prospects that can justify that kind of arrangement, so that now at the end of the day, the value can be derived. Of course, there are a lot of costs that are associated with integration and also diversification. These are the costs we're talking about. Market transaction, search costs. Now, search costs, especially when you are searching the partner. You know, at the end of the day, this will be also added to the cost of the business. It's an expense, the time, and all this that will be needed. Negotiation costs, cost of contract, going to the lawyers and legal representatives, cost of monitoring, how will it be? Because now the portfolio will be bigger. How is it going to behave? Then enforcement cost, search cost, all this. These are different costs that may arise, and therefore they have to be properly managed. Financial synergies, of course, you think a little bit of this. Now, very, very important. That's why we talked about coming up with banks, investment banks, you know, and practitioners in finance to be able to make sure that the deal is good before you sign, right? The deal is good before you sign. Does the deal bring profitability, more profitability than the one you've been getting? Is it a deal for more cash flow? Is it a deal for growth? You know, we have models for projecting expected earnings. You know, expected earnings that you have to project. You know, sometimes in a corporate world, you have to present this even to the shareholders in an annual general meeting so that they can allow you to continue with the deal. They need to see what are the expected earnings, and therefore this is it. So that you can convince them the deal is good and is going to add value to that firm. Of course, there are challenges of this. experiences of the corporate office through parenting. How has it been managed? It can affect the deal. If the experiences are good, then the corporate office is well. And also the support of the corporate office. More support is needed. If the corporate office is not supportive in terms of plans, budgets, and all this, then the deal may not do well. That's still part of that corporate restructuring. So corporate management must, make sure that everything is in order before they sign the deal. Because restructuring may involve change of assets, and we saw this, change of portfolio, change of capital structure. Assets mean we were talking about plant and machinery. Plant may reduce. You had 2 plants, 1 plant here, 1 plant here. You may, if you combine, you don't need the other plant, you may sell it. Now, when you've sold your plant, go back to that plant again. It means you buy it again if the deal collapses, and therefore you have to be very, very careful. The case I was explaining about the supply chain, the transport business, you have cows here, you have your construction here. Once you have that trucks in your portfolio, those are assets. If the business is not there, if construction business is not there, it puts a challenge to your resources. Then the capital structure, what amount of debt, shares, so forth, how will it be? It will be changed, right? And if it is changed, it will affect, the balance sheets at the end of the day. So it has to be done in the right way. Now, when it comes to portfolio management, I think you've seen this before. Now, you need to see, where do you put the money? I think when you are looking at the competitive advantage and so forth, we look at the BCG matrix. Seen it. Remember, the circles show the value that you derive from these products. So you need to put more money in the stars to make them cash cows. And you also put more money on the question marks to make them stars. Then it goes, the relative growth of the portfolio. But now, before you sign the agreement, before you go into the alliance or the diversification, whatever it is, you have to know, what is the prospect of this question mark going into a star? If there is a prospect, then that is good. What is the prospect of this star becoming cash cow? If there's a prospect, good. Because a question mark, remember, can go to dogs. It can fail. If it fails, then you go for diversification, divestiture, liquidation, retrenchment, and so forth, and it will be a loss to the farm. Now, this is the portfolio I was talking about that creates synergy. Now, it's always expressed as a regression. Y is equals to A plus BX plus BX1, BX2, BX3, BX4. Those are the portfolios, right? So now, this portfolio is supposed to assist you to know where to allocate the resources. For example, the money. I said the money goes to the cash cows and the stars. Suppose BX1 was the cash cow, BX2 is the question mark, BX3 is a problem children, BX4 is what. So you have to see, where do you put the resources and how much? Because if you put much money in the question marks, or you put so much money in the problem children, it may not come back. That means if you sign an agreement, you go into an agreement with a problem child from a different farm, it may not work. So all this has to be done by experts so that this value, this synergy can be derived. At the end of the day, we are looking at how we can derive this value from our portfolio. And then, of course, we have strategic alliances, the same case, how you create the value. But of course, alliances are based on lack of what you are lacking is what you go the strategic alliance. If you don't have the customers, you look for the firm that has the customers. Maybe you have the products, you have the customers. If you don't know how to do the marketing, you look for a good marketing firm. If you don't have a good logistics channel, as we have seen, you go for the firm that is good in distribution. And that is how you can derive value through strategic alliance. Otherwise, if you don't, then it may not work out again. For example, if you are lacking requisite marketing expertise, and then you also join with a firm that doesn't also understand. A blind man cannot lead another blind man. You may lead to crashing the portfolio. But what does these alliances bring? They bring a pool of capital, right? Talked about that. They bring a pool of value-creating activities. This is what you call bottlenecking. You know, when the alliances come together, when the business comes together, they look at non-value-adding activities and remove them. And then they pull together the value-creating activities. That's how they can be able to gain the synergy. Then, of course, pool facilities, as you've seen with diversification, and then pool economies of scale. Now, the value you get, the revenue you get now is increasing. The fixed costs are constant. So for every extra unit that you produce or you gain from an arrangement, then it becomes, of course, you know, the marginal returns, you know, and so forth. And then, again, depends on, okay, when you're entering new markets, for example, now we are saying Safaricom is going to Ethiopia. I've not got the deal well. I don't know they are going independently, but they have an alliance. I think I have a lot of literature to check on this. I think I'll pass you some. If you are going to new markets, alliances are good for that. Get a partner in wherever you are going to business. It's very fast. Overnight, if you're in the business and you start serving customers. A very, very good advantage for alliances as compared to going there and starting a new company. Starting a new company may take long. Remember, these are some of the ways of going into foreign business. That's like global strategic management. I think you're studying that. So, you know, you use experience of 2 or more companies to be able to enter into the market, you know, or use their technology, which is available. One challenge about alliances, as we said, is the problem of shacking, the problem of cheating, the problem of lack of trust, you know, the problem of choosing a wrong partner. Just like marriage, if you choose the wrong partner, you are finished. If you choose the right partner, you may survive. The same to alliances. You know, each partner must bring his bright side. Then forget the dark side. That's what builds a good alliance. You know? So every partner should look at his core competencies, bring them on the table. The other partner brings the core competencies, bring them on the table. The partners must be compatible. They must work together. If they are not compatible, you start the alliance, it's not going to last. It's going to a few days, a few weeks, and it is over. Then again, the issue of financing, either stock options or real options. You people in finance more conversed with this. You know, because we saw, for example, we talked about leveraged buyout. We looked at share buyout. We look at management buyout. We look at spin-off, you know, trading in, you know, this way it comes, you know. Because investments can be staged. You can buy the shares or stock, or you can come with money and buy, you know. So again, that means, you know, the firms that are going to these agreements, they must have a knowledge of the outcomes. They must have a projection, you know, before they make the decision. But of course, some of this may not work. Sometimes it does not work. Some of the reasons is going to an arrangement just for the sake of it, without proper analysis, without proper planning, it's going to fail. For the growth sake, you just want to grow business. We just want to diversify just like that by word of mouth. Then out of nowhere, you get a partner on the streets, sign contracts. It may not work. Egoism and egotism, you know, there are firms that feel they are the best. When you're in an arrangement, it's not about the best. If you are the best, you can stay alone. But when you are looking for synergy in an arrangement, then you must bear with the partner. You must respect the partner. And then sometimes there are also takeover and tactics. We talked about takeover, merger, acquisition, forced merger, friendly merger, and so forth. These arrangements can end value if, you know, if there's what you call green mail. Green mail is whereby the management, you know, they buy the shares and then they sell back. That means the agreement may not, if it was a merger, then it will fail. Especially if the buying authority realizes that later. You know, sometimes when you are merging, you look at the shares of the firm and the shares are very low. The price is very low. Now, some managers can buy everything and sell at a higher price if you're not careful. The problem is that if the other buying authority realizes it, the deal may collapse. Then there's what we call golden parachute. This is corruption in some countries. It's classified as corruption, whereby the executives, the sitting executives, hand over the firm, you know, to the partner, and then they are sorted later. You know, they are paid for that. That's why it's sometimes called corruption. Sometimes if the firm is closing completely, if there's a complete merger or takeover, then they are assured of their jobs. You know, they tell, okay, we're still going to put you in our, you've seen that where firms are being taken over and some managers are retained out of the context. You know, it means they may have gone earlier to negotiate their deal. You know, they make sure that their cake is ready. That's why it's called a golden parachute. That means that there's a soft landing. But of course, if this leads to the acquiring of the other firm, then it can bring challenge, because in a good arrangement, this is not supposed to happen. It is cost of corruption, and it goes to the firm. Then there's also what we call poison pills. Again, the management can poison the firm to be unattractive to the acquiring party. That means when it looks unattractive, then the value may not be the right. It's like when you are selling your cow, the people who are buying, they come and say this cow is very lean, the tail is short, it has no horns. They are poisoning the value of the cow so that they can buy at a loss, at a cheaper price, which will be loss to you. So if you get into agreements with such people, then the value that you are looking for will be massaged, and therefore it will not be the right value. Okay. I hope I'm still with you now. I want to do what I normally do. Now all your speakers are off, right? Just okay, that was a notification that your participation is needed. Right. Okay. Task for discussion. Explain how corporate managers create and sustain value in their firms. Now, you are the corporate manager. How do you create and sustain value in your firm? That means you have to go to our discussion, look at the value chain, look at the 5 forces model, look at the competitive advantage model. How do you create value? Some firms may create value. Okay, let me listen to you. Come on, let me listen to you. How do firms create and sustain value? Maybe you can start with how do firms create value? This is your discussion now. Let me expand here so that I can see you well. How do firms create value? How is your firm creating value? Hello there. Are you with me? Hello there. Someone, your speaker is off.
Yes, we are with you.
Yes, yes. How do you create value? Or how can you create value in a farm? How can you create value in a farm? No, you must not answer today. I can see you are, I don't know, because of the holiday. You seem to have a very good day. You look a little bit tired, a little bit. I think you are doing celebrations in the stadium today.
No,
You are
no,
dancing there the whole day.
no.
Yeah. You are dancing your traditional dances there the whole day. Okay, okay. Okay, tell me, Conchi, your hand is up. Okay, Samuel, you're already on, yes.
Conchi had raised her hand, I think.
Samuel,
Can I follow?
hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
How can you create value? Hello,
No,
I think we are losing.
can you hear me?
We are losing you somehow. You're not clear, closing. Maybe Conchi, your hand was up as we wait for Samuel to come back. Yes.
By creating differentiation. For instance, I'm working at Total and they give value for oils by creating quality products.
Yes. Yes, true. Another person, please. Today we want to finish early because of the celebration. Another person. How do you create value? Shules, you are on. Yes, yes, I can see your hand up.
Yeah, to my opinion, when the corporate managers, if they are trying to create values, I think I understand two things. The basic is they should have consistent or succession plan properly and existing values as it is. This is the key point to my understanding. In addition to that, give attention for customers and try to maximize their revenues. This is the way they try to create values.
Yes, Samuel, are you back? How is your mic now? Is it okay, Samuel? Samuel Akebe.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, continue.
Okay. I think in my company, the first thing we do is mainly to create a value with a strategy to stay competitive and maybe ahead of our competitors. So what we normally do is like since we are involved in technology, in ICT technology, especially our competitors, we look what technologies they use, which we always know that it is a support technology. And normally they do what they do is they try to do technologies that are already done by others. So maybe they customize and they do some kind of touch-ups, but not doing it from scratch. So what we do is, since we develop everything in-house, definitely following the latest technology, we always try to mitigate the problems by ourselves and maybe give a higher value service to our customers. We keep them satisfied. Normally, we always kind of block the loopholes that happen in our company, but also capitalize on the weakness of our competitors. That's our, the advantage or the value we create. And second, we give a kind of a complete service, like our competitors give a certificate letter. So what we do is like we give from A to Z kind of service. We specialize in one particular technology, in procurement technology, but then in that technology, what we give is from A to Z, always are given. So we always stay ahead of our competitors. That's the way we do.
Yeah, today you are not very, very clear, but at least I grabbed one or two things. Another way, maybe we pick the last another response from anybody. Maybe you can pick the last one before you go to finish your celebrations, you know. Okay, now there's also another question down there, but I think we can leave this for another day. What are the challenges when sustaining value? Okay, we discussed a few there in our discussion. Maybe you can check on it. Let me see. So now, I think we need to have this class, and this is a question. Any question?
በትምህርት ከፍ ብሎ መብረር ይቻላል። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ከከፍተኛ ትምህርት አግባብነትና ጥራት ኤጀንሲ ሙሉ ዕውቅናን ባገኘንባቸው በማስተርስ ዲግሪ ኤምቢኤ በስትራቴጂክ ማኔጅመንት፣ ኤምቢኤ በባንኪንግ እና ፋይናንስ፣ ኤምቢኤ በቢዝነስ ሊደርሺፕ፣ ኤምቢኤ በሪስክና ኢንሹራንስ፣ ኤምኤስሲ በኢንተርናሽናል ትሬድና ኢኮኖሚክስ ዘርፎች በእውቀት ለመቅረጽ የበቁ ፕሮፌሰሮቻችን አረንጓዴ መብራታቸውን አብርተዋል። በነገራችን ላይ በኬንያ ሀገር ከሚገኙ ስመጥር ዩኒቨርሲቲዎች በሚመጡ ፕሮፌሰሮች የትኩረት መስክ ትምህርቶቹ መሰጠታቸው ልዩ ያደርገናል። በምርጥ የትምህርት ስርዓት የተገነባው ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ በመጀመሪያ ዲግሪ በአቪዬሽን ማኔጅመንት፣ በሆቴል ማኔጅመንት፣ በአካውንቲንግና ፋይናንስ፣ በማርኬቲንግ ማኔጅመንት አስተማማኝ ትምህርት ይገቢውና ራስዎንና ሀገሮን ይለውጡ። አድራሻ 22 አደባባይ ወደ ሾላ በሚወስደው መንገድ ላይ። ናሽናል አቪዬሽን ኮሌጅ የናሽናል ኤርዌይስ እህት ኩባንያ ህልሞን እውን ያደርጋል።